Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Welcome to Tuesday Midnight Express, a non-topical edition of the Sci-Fi Center presents. There's really no major news that I gave a fuck about today, so we're gonna basically have an open, random conversation. I'm pretty sure there's something you have to bring up in the chat that'll derail anything that we did have planned anyway. So we might as well just go ahead and get it derailed on our own. I'm your host, William from the Sci-Fi Center. Brad for comicbook.com and a number of other outlets. And today we're going to be talking about whatever the hell you guys want to talk about until you annoy me and I just start skipping you.
Clint, of course, with the Ducks starting things off.
Customary Ducks. Every now and then I'll beat them to it.
How's it going, Aaron? Actually, how's it going, Droga? Actually, I'll start off with the top myself. I have got a Krav Maga belt test tomorrow.
Who cares? Next, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, one of the multiple disciplines I currently train in. I have a belt test tomorrow specifically for my green belt in Krav Maga. It's going to be quite tough, so everybody wish me all the best luck. Because I'm going to need it, definitely, because it's going to be, it's like, it's the thing about it is, you're talking about, any, belt testing is always, any school that's like really doing its job, they definitely challenge you, and mine certainly is the case. And but then you Krav Maga, the fact that it was made for the military, it kind of adds like a feeling of like almost going to boot camp with it. So I think it's fun.
All right, next one.
Carlos Miramontes 96 morning. I don't believe I've seen you before in our chat, but welcome to
I think this is the first time that I've seen you. Welcome to the show.
I'm bringing him back to Oakland. Okay.
Bring who back to Oakland? What do we? Yeah, it's like 50-something degrees tonight. What are we bringing back to Vegas? Did I miss something? Oh no. Okay. Oh, you're from the Bay Area. Cool.
Oakland says you can have him.
Oh, you guys talking about the Raiders?
The team that leaves and comes here for the only professional Las Vegas is the Golden Knights.
I don't. Listen, that doesn't really bother me. Some of the greatest teams. Vegas is a very small city to have all these teams to begin with. Golden Knights is great, but the NFL is king. A transplanted NFL team, regardless, is always going to be the top sports draw. Even the Raiders, who aren't very good, other people come to see them lose. So.
Hey, William, I just realized something really cool about the Raiders. Their name has something in it. It's a pretty cool thing.
It took you way too long to click on that, so we'll move on to something else. I'm not a Golden Knights fan at all because I'm a Los Angeles Kings fan. So there you go.
They should just shorten their team name to the Raid.
Well, no one will care. So
yes, they would. Yeah. William, what's your opinion? What's your opinion on these UFO sightings, William?
I don't have one. I mean, I've heard. Are we talking about the drones? Or are we talking about actual UFO? Because I know there's drones around, and to me, those are just drones. Though I don't think those are UFOs. I don't think listen, if am I echoing? Or are you echoing?
I think you are.
Testing. Hello. Okay, let me try this because there's different settings on there. Okay, there you go. No, it's still echoing. Hold on for a second. When it comes to UFOs, I just think they're going to have better things to do with their time than us. I see what's wrong. Okay, here we go. Testing. There we go. All right. I don't think I think I don't think an alien from another planet would give two shits about us. All I have to do is take a look at this planet, what we've done to it, what we do to each other, and they're just going to continue looking for an intelligent species. So next one.
Yeah, but they'll find me and then they say no, we actually have to stay. So I'm going to keep the aliens here.
Nah, and if they had anything to do with our evolution, they'll probably just say, you know what, this experiment has failed.
Oh, you think on the whole engineer idea there?
Engineers, celestials, probably, like I said, when you look at if they come by and they had different expectations and they take a look at what we become, I don't think we have much of a chance.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah. Actually, I'm also starting tomorrow. I'm actually that's the Krav Maga belt test in Green, but also because at the school I do American Tung Soo Do. I mean, I've been in a whole bunch of different disciplines, obviously, because I've spoken about it at length on the show. But at this school I'm at currently, I do the three disciplines here are American Tung Soo Do, Krav Maga, and Jiu Jitsu. So those are the three I am at because I've been helping out in school so much. It's just part of my everyday now. So I'm very much in part of every program, and so I'm doing the Krav Maga green belt test tomorrow. And I also
now your sound's fucked up.
Oh, was that better?
Yeah, you're getting kind of scratchy there for a second. Go ahead and talk.
So my Krav Maga green belt test tomorrow, and I'm also in Tung Soo Do. I got one more before black, but also I'm starting the black belt training program for Tung Soo Do, which that is a 6-month program. So I'll be doing basically prepping for 2 belts in there. There'll be a first cup red and then black, and should be tested for black in about June.
Witness Leon let play. Yeah, I remember that one. What was the Amani thinking about touching the ball? One of two things. It was instinct. When you see the ball, you want to jump on it, but he was probably trying to make a play to take it to the end zone. That's the Sports Center culture where you don't really, you want to get on that highlight reel. So yeah, that kind of fucked up that game because they win that game if he doesn't do that. William, I don't think enough product in your store for my hundreds of kids, William. Oh, jeez. Okay, I don't care. If you get kicked in the balls, Brad. I may go to the Cowboys game. Yeah, that game's going to sell out too because there's a lot. No matter how bad the Cowboys are, there's a lot of people that pay to see them. Okay, it's hard for me to get around. Let's see. Oh, I do too. I just think if you have the means to travel for interstellar travel to cross enough, to go into other solar systems, why would you come here? Why would you?
Well,
come here?
I got the answer. I got the answer for you. They're coming here because they want to find the Codex.
Yeah, but look what it's become. Like I said, if you have the means to travel across the galaxy, you probably are gonna find a better planet that's done, that's probably worth touching down on. Why would you come here? How do you think you'd be treated? You better be in disguise. Because we treat humans like shit here. You think you're gonna do right by an alien? You might as well just keep going, aliens.
Well, we got some first-hand info on UFOs from your fly. Once flew by a UFO. This is funky. Okay, I need to know: is this fourth or is this Spidey?
This is fourth. Getting my tickets for Nosferatu this weekend. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'll be seeing it on opening night.
I'm going to be seeing Craven Thursday evening.
This coming Thursday?
Yes.
I thought it was next weekend that it came out.
No, it's this week. Well, yeah, it's really weird this month schedule because it's. I don't know if I'd say it's light in terms of like holiday season blockbusters, but it doesn't because it doesn't feel quite as much like the kind of the usual fireworks I think we sort of tend to associate with the holiday season theatrically. Again, not to say there aren't anticipated things that are already out or are going to be coming out, like Wicked is doing gangbusters, Moana 2 is doing really awesome. And
how much does Wicked make? Because I know...
that's made like close to 500 so far. But yeah, as far really, I think probably the as far as like what's dropping in December, I think the one that probably I am going to venture to guess is going to do the best is probably Sonic 3. Which, by the way, I DM'd William a little bit about that earlier. Which you want to pull that up
later on?
Okay.
Showing for Kevin, yeah, and some asshole was posting some fake stuff about I guess at CXP they had a special screening and they were saying that nobody showed and like a bunch of people just believed in it. And then somebody from the actual screening had to send in a picture with like a bunch of people there.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
see it. I don't think I did. Yeah, because I saw some reporting on that. So yeah, it was a ghost town, but did it get a good turnout?
Yeah. And then there was like just pictures there, and then several people sent pictures from different angles. This is the kind of stupid shit I mean. The fucking movie is not even out yet, and we already have people. And you got to realize that we don't have, not everybody thinks for themselves. Mm-hmm. So you're letting something that's an outright falsity speak for you. That kind of stuff hurts a movie. When you have this whole, collective non-intelligence going on, and you don't really do any research or anything, you just look at a meme, that kind of stuff affects the trajectory of a movie. That's an outright lie that person put on there. That was a lie. And a bunch of people, and kudos to the people who were following the thread, who were there at an actual event to actually return and post pictures of people actually at the event.
Wait, can we pull this up? Because again, I saw something. Because this was kind of tied into the reporting too that Craven is kind of marking, at least at the time, being the end of Sony's Spider-Man villain universe.
Yeah, which by the way is okay. It's bullshit. If you believe that that's true, that's what they said. I believe that's what they said. That's fine. First of all, I don't. There's no reason for them to, and I'll go into that later on because to be honest with you, it's been 2021, December 2021. We're going on 3 years now since there's been a Spider-Man solo movie, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, which we're about to do a watch party for that this weekend. And
we're still looking at scripts. We're still looking at scripts for the new one, so we haven't even started shooting on that one. So we got at least another year and a half of that.
Okay, I think.
You found it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen one of the pictures. Now I don't know how this doesn't show the whole room, but it does. It's enough to show.
It shows that there wasn't nobody.
There's definitely a sizable attendance.
And it was under a tag that said, I can't find it, but if you want to bring it up, go ahead. They're saying that, and I have one where they actually I can't put it up there because there's actually motion. They're up on stage, but there's people in the crowd while there's people up on the stage from the movie talking. So I don't. What is the point of this? Why would you post something like that, and why would anybody believe it?
Well, I think part of it is just kind of, it's from the
This
vanity.
isn't Madam Web. This
Yeah,
isn't Morbius.
but it's made those have it's just become fun to dogpile on Sony. As far as
But is it smart?
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's that's the trend. I know.
This is the kind of stuff that makes fans, especially comic book movies fans, look stupid. Collectively, we look stupid when this stuff like this happens, because especially when you can literally, it would only take one or two people there to refute that.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff we got to fight through to get in smarter conversations as comic book movie fans. We're fighting. You have it pulled up?
No, that is the only photo I can find so far.
Go ahead and bring it up.
Yeah, do you know, no, that last one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to that. Get that back up real quick. Spare with me, guys.
Because the one I have, they're actually on stage talking. I can't.
Yeah, this has somebody. I think it looks like it's probably from like before like the whole thing starts. It's just like everybody pouring in and them prepping the whole panel.
And I didn't respond to it, so it's not on my timeline. I just saw it. I saw a couple people post and sharing it, and I'm like, and then some people were responding to it. Okay, right there, that's the one. That's enough to tell me that there's more than nobody there. And I saw some ones at different angles that are actually, because to your left and right, they had screens, and there were people there, and I'm like, why would you? What's in it? What's the benefit of posting or trying to spread something like that? So not just for Craven, any movie. But yeah, as far as Sony, listen, it's been December of 2021, so we've had 3 years. We're going to go on another fourth because the movie's not even in pre-production yet, as far as physical pre-production. So you're starting, 6 to 8 months of shooting maybe, and maybe another 6 months. So you're basically going to look at a total of close to 5 years since we've had Tom Holland as Spider-Man. In that interim, Spider-Man No Way Home showed you that there was a market for one or both of the Spider-Man that were not Tom Holland, because I promise you, that movie made damn near $2 billion. Not just on Tom Holland. That movie was driven by that, and you couldn't give me in 4 years or 5 years. You couldn't give me one Andrew Garfield movie to tie all this other stuff into.
I still can't get my head around like how with how well it did. I mean, it's just, I mean, strike while the iron's hot, guys.
And whatever this deal is, and like I said, I keep hearing people tell me that something that Sony owns that they can't use because of the MCU deal. I've never seen anything. No one's ever published it because the deal's never been published. So anybody who's telling you that that's outside of Sony or Disney that tells you exactly what's in the deal, they can't be telling the truth unless they're inside of Sony. And most of these people admittedly say that they're not inside of Sony. So I don't think there's any excuse why we didn't get another movie, in between this. I mean, taking this long to get a Spider-Man movie out, you had an audience there. You're not introducing something, and Spider-Man No Way Home explained to you, for all the people who think comic book movie fans are dumb and can't, will get confused for some reason, because maybe they will. No Way Home told you everything you needed to know to go forward with at least one movie. I'm not saying give me 6 or 7, Tobey Maguire or Andy Garfield. One movie in the interim of a 5-year wait that you're gonna have to wait until you see him on the screen again. So
I mean, it's like putting out a Justice League movie that becomes a global phenomenon and saying, no, it's a cul-de-sac. Oh, right.
Well, Joel, that was a bad movie that was put out, though. That was
I'm talking about the real one. It's like, you guys don't get it.
They're not comparable because you had a successful movie to go off of. You didn't have 2017 was the movie you would have had to gone off to put it on big screen. But when you're looking at this, I don't see. And the problem, I don't care if they don't do any more solo villain movies, because, to be honest with you, if you're not going to put a Spider-Man
what the hell are you doing?
Universe, it doesn't really matter. And I don't see any reason why. And if there is some kind of deal that says that Sony can't and I don't think there is, that Sony can't, do their own Spider-Man movie while they have the right. I mean, like I said, why would you do that with an IP that you own?
Well, they've already done that, with the End of the Spider-Verse movies. So,
well, those aren't live action. So somebody's telling me, and like I said, nobody has ever been able to put this in front of me.
Mrs. Chen is live action, and they work archival footage with Toby and Andrew and across Spider-Verse, and they had Donald Glover to make the Prowler cameo.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the
now you might be bending the rules a little bit there as far as like whatever the contract stipulations
But
are.
what are the rules? What are the rules?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They have never published this deal. So, but in any event, I think it was to not put some type of Spider-Man in the middle of this universe was a big mistake, and I don't truly believe that there was anything stopping them. I think the only thing that was stopping them was their reliance on Disney. They didn't want to do stuff. They don't believe enough in their own ability to put on the Spider. I don't know why, since no live action Spider-Man movie produced by either company has ever drawn less than $700 million. Amy Pascal and all these other guys are just basically have their heads, in Marvel's thing or DC's or not DC, Disney's things, and they've never really had any desire. They wanted even their Madam Web movie was built around trying to get Tom Holland as their Spider-Man. I'm like, well, that's still a Sony produced movie. So why don't you take your property and do something with it? And if there is some kind of deal, if some kind of deal that prevents you, then co-produce it with them. I mean, anything but just letting something that had drawing power just sit on the shelf while you gave me a bunch of movies that didn't have anything to do with anything ultimately. And if Kraven is your last one, which is bullshit, if Kraven is your last one, then you basically created a bunch of characters that were only relevant because of Spider-Man. I have the same feeling about the Bat family. I don't care about these B and C list characters associated with Batman outside of his pantheon. Why do I care about Batgirl? Because of Batman. So, you really needed to put the Spider-Man in your Spider-Man universe if you were going to do anything at all. So, but in any event, they still have to make a certain amount of movies to maintain the rights. So their Sony movies still, the Tom Holland movies still count for that. The Spider-Verse movies still count for that. And Kraven's going to count for that. So they still got time to do something. But I just thought it was kind of silly.
And listen, I finally watched that first 8 minutes preview of Kraven. I don't know why it took me so long, but I really liked the way it starts off. It's like I'm looking forward to seeing because William and I was like, we're going into this. It's like it's Kraven the Hunter. He's like it's R-rated. He's slashing motherfuckers up. It's like I'm down for that. And the cool thing too, this didn't even occur to me, but until I saw the that 8 minute preview, but it's like it looks like they've integrated some parkour into it. With his everyone's like, oh man, that is so perfect for Kraven. I never would have thought of that, but it's like that is cool. But let's have Kraven do some parkour. That is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see Kraven doing parkour and then slashing dudes up. So it's like, I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely hope that this is like this is some jump in the gun kind of reporting, and we get finally once we finally get this follow up to No Way Home off the ground, and the branching off spin-offs that Toby and Andrew could have from that one of them does meet this Kraven.
At least one movie. One movie would have been a fight. No, I don't think the Sinister Six would work without Spider-Man.
And that's what when I saw first time I saw Morbius, I mean that post-credit scene's like Sony, they want this Sinister Six movie so bad. But
I don't believe this. You're about to have as soon as you get a comic book audience are cynical when you give them C-level characters that are not the main A-listers. Everybody who brings me up comic book fatigue and that the audiences are turning on comic, I'd call bullshit every syllable, because when's the last A-lister of any of these ones that failed? Not subsidiary character. I'm talking about not a villain of. I'm talking about the main Marvel or DC character where it was one of their top tier, their top 5 that they've done. You know, you look at the Marvel movies that have allegedly sputtered, they weren't mainliners. The last time a movie with Captain America, Steve Rogers in it.
Oh, that reminds me, we got some news about that too. That apparently Chris Evans is coming back for Avengers Doomsday.
Why did anybody think otherwise? Robert,
Now,
why?
Now they have
but
not.
anyway,
They have not
let
been
me
cleared.
finish my thought there. When people tell you that comic book movie, there's fatigue and all that horse shit, what I call that. When's the last Marvel A-list character that didn't draw? People are not fatigued. They just don't. They want the top tier characters. If you're going to put the B-listers out there, you better have the A-listers within the vicinity, or the movie's not going to be good. That's what you started them off on. You can't start people off on Robert Downey, Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson, and then go into these other characters that you got to Google to find out who the fuck they are. This is not going to work, and that's on any comic book, any comic book movie. When is the last A-list character that didn't draw? Take as much time as you need.
I'm gonna look up real quick, like kind of the last couple of CBMs we've had, Marvel and DC. Obviously the big hit, this year is Deadpool Wolverine, and of course that's already got a firm basis between Deadpool 1 and 2 and Hugh Jackman's 10 Years Wolverine. Let's see, I think. As far as Marvel is concerned, now this maybe wouldn't bear out so much in box office, but I think I think you could make an argument that Thor: Love and Thunder kind of fits that bill more so on the reception side.
No, I'm talking about money, because reception don't mean shit.
Well,
if
like
the money comes first.
The last one they had bomb was the Marvels, which that's
not a main lister.
But her solo movie did $1 billion. Now we're in
her
agreement.
Her solo movie did $1 billion. Why? Because the A-listers, exactly. What mainline A-list Marvel movie? And when I mean A-list, I'm talking about Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Avengers.
Even Black Panther. Well, that didn't do
Black Panther's top tier. Black Panther's the A-lister.
Yeah, but it also came in substantial. But I think there's reasons for that. Even with
the issues I had with Black Panther, it made like $850 million. That's a hit.
So you got here, Madam Web, of course, did what it did. Venom, actually, where that's close to 500 now, so that's pretty good. Doctor Strange, that's so close yet so far. It almost hit $1 billion. Did 955.
Yeah. So when you go with the A-listers that people are interested in, you make money. It's no fatigue. Because when Fantastic Four comes out and makes a crap ton of money, so what's the fatigue over? So yeah. I always hear that. I'm like, nah. You have a mediocrity fatigue. You can fix that.
Yeah, I think that was about to say. It's like I think there's, because we were talking a little bit about on the Vodka stream recently. Is that I think there is maybe an argument to be made that just a lot of the recent output, I would say more so on the Marvel side, has been kind of lackluster. They have the
higher frequency. Yeah, but and it's really hard for them, to be honest with you. Their story structure is built around a superstructure that when it's not there, the story is not there. Now Captain America was always coming back.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like a lot of people have posited that he might, because RDJ is coming back as Dr. Doom. So there's theories like, what if this is like, because this is a multiverse story, what if they have like evil versions of the Avengers that are coming, or he could become, or what if he's come back as Hydra Cap?
No.
He's
coming back as Cap. They don't have all that fucking time to tell that kind of story. These characters are coming back for their swan songs, as all your high leverage Marvel characters are coming back, but they're not good. They're not going to, it's for Secret Wars, just like all the Fox mainstays are going to come back, but they're going to be there because you are you're putting a bow on this universe as you ride into the consolidated one. I never thought anybody thought that Chris Evans wasn't coming back to play Captain America. I never thought anybody believed that. But
well, so now how that's the big question is like how are they gonna are they gonna retcon him being 100 years old the last time we saw him, or what are they gonna do?
Oh yeah, I thought that once the very first time I saw him in Endgame, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to the story how they circumvent that shit because they're going to. Antonio, Captain America is a A-lister by their standards, and by the time that they wrapped up those movies, Captain America was an A-lister.
Yeah,
for them, Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Panther were A-listers in regards to how they built them up to the revenue that they generated, and they were mainline characters. And Captain America, as far as Marvel Comics goes, has always been him and Human Torch were the very first Marvel characters. So and Black Panther has been a mainline one. Like I said, one of Jack Kirby's and Stan Lee's first handful of creations. So no, they were A-listers. You may not have thought they were A-listers and compared to what Superman and Batman are to Marvel or to DC, but they were A-listers. And even if you didn't think they were A-listers going into 2008, which would not be true, they were built into A-listers. They were established as A-listers.
Yeah, when you got a movie that does 600 plus under your belt, then it's like it's pretty safe to call you an A-lister as far in the public perception.
No, those are A-lists as well, but so are the ones I just mentioned. No, see, you guys can create your own definitions if you want to, but no, this question is directly for you. When's the last A-list character that failed? In order for you to establish fatigue, that would have to be across the board, and if you cannot establish that,
could you now? I think his A-list, even MCU wise, is maybe a little bit debatable. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that did not do well.
No,
that was
not
come down from. But he had two very his first two movies did like 500 to 600 prior, and of course he was in Infinity War and Endgame, or he was just in Endgame. But
he's not an A-lister. B, those movies made money because they were part of the overall Infinity, especially that second one. They were right in the middle. The second one, they were right in the middle. Both of those movies, the first two movies, were released in the midst of the Infinity Saga. So they were being supported by A-listers. What happened when you release one when there was no A-list movie coming out? That's the one that failed.
No, we're totally in agreement here, Aaron. We're totally in agreement. Oh, she also says it could be Johnny. Yeah, when he comes back as Johnny Storm again.
He's not coming back as Hydra Cap, and that's not something. Why? Okay, so look what you're doing. You're bringing these characters back to go out that universe with a bang and consolidate the characters that you've purchased from Fox finally into your universe in a Secret War. Where does that make any sense for him to come back as Hydra Cap? That would be something you do in a series that's unrelated to what you're trying to do. But you have this is all going towards Secret Wars and Avengers Doomsday. I guess he could come back as Hydra Cap, but it doesn't make any sense. There's just nothing. There's nothing where that adds to that story. It just doesn't, unless they script it that way. But why? I don't see how it makes any. It would make more sense for the last appearances that you see of Chris Evans as Captain America would be as Captain America. Now, if you were doing a what if maybe, or something like you were doing something with Thunderbolts, or you're doing something, remember that Captain America Hydra story is a series type of story. It is told in the Captain America comic as a series, and it took time for that series to flesh out to where we finally realized what was happening. You only have so many minutes in a movie, and a lot of that's dedicated to things that are not necessarily Captain America. So no, I don't see him, not at least not for the purposes of these movies.
I'll tell you what else, with all this you're talking about, consolidating the universe and putting the bow on the cast that's coming back. It's like I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but it's like, okay, I just had a great article go live on Fortress of Solitude that was about the DC side of that and how James Gunn's what his plans are. It's like that might actually be more of a conduit for that kind of thing on the DC side of it than we maybe have given it credit for so far. So it's like I really hope that's like that this happening on the Marvel side that really illuminates that for for people, including in the studio, if it hasn't already happened.
Okay. Antonio, this isn't. I love you, man, but this isn't relevant. The only to what you were able to do with Avengers. The only Avengers people knew about was in the country with a damn TV show from the '60s in the UK. No,
I knew of the event when that movie came out. It's like the Avengers. I mean, they weren't household names as far as like superheroes, but it's like as a kid I knew. I was thinking like, oh, the Avengers, like, oh, it's the team with Captain America and Iron Man and all that. So yeah, a lot of people did during the 90s. Now that again, that did not mean that they had reached the status of again being like everybody and their mother knew.
Well, no comic book movie had.
Yeah,
I think there's this fantasy that nobody knew.
But they weren't like ciphers. At that point, they weren't invisible at that stage.
There's this fantasy that nobody knew who the Avengers were in 2008. That's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. All right, were they on Batman's level? No, people knew those characters. But let's say for argument's sake, let's say that it's not bullshit, and nobody knew who those characters are. Doesn't matter, because that Marvel logo had been put on movies for like 8 years before that even happened. So by the time you got, even though it wasn't Marvel Studios or anything like that, the general public didn't know. They saw that Marvel logo. And guess what? By the time you had Iron Man, you'd already had several very successful X-Men movies with that logo on it. By the time you had Iron Man, you had already had three 700 million plus Spider-Man movies, 3 of them, because Spider-Man 3 came out in 2007. So by the time that you got to Iron Man, let's swallow the bullshit and not just towards you, Antonio, but this is a general. Let's say nobody knew who these characters were. It doesn't matter. You had already trusted that little Marvel logo, and then you started seeing the players flipping in 2008. You, as a general fan who didn't know anything about any of these things, you went to those movies because the math shows you that they did. So by the time we got to Iron Man, Marvel's brand on motion picture had been cultivated for 8 years. So even if they didn't know who the Avengers were, and they did, they knew the brand already. They knew the brand. And Kevin Feige was a part of that brand throughout all those movies up until 2008 when he headed up Marvel Studios. So, yeah, people forget that. People forget that brand name. That's why when I say the DC brand needs to be fixed and not just movies, the Marvel brand was making a ton of money before Iron Man even came out, even if it wasn't Marvel Studios. Joe Average didn't know that. He trusts that Marvel, that white and red Marvel logo, and that's what he went towards. So, but in all actuality, people knew who these characters are. People knew who Thor was.
They might not have had encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah, but they knew Thor was popular enough for like 25 years forward that NBC put it was a horrible Thor, but they put Thor on.
Which one was that? Which one was that? That was the
Return of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
and it had a crap ton of people watching it on a Monday night.
And they just put him in a Viking outfit, basically.
Yeah. People knew who Captain America. Captain America came out in 1941. Captain America was literally the symbol of America in some cultures.
And he had movies before. He had 2 really bad red brown motorcycle, helmet.
He had a TV show,
and he had the Rubber Ears movie.
Yeah. So this like I said, this reimagining of history that that these characters weren't known, or that the Marvel brand didn't propel the MCU prior to Iron Man, that's just not real. It's not true. Time travel, fourth. Time travel. That's easy.
He turned into Joe Biden. Yeah. And he does look like Joe Biden in the end, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's mediocre movie. And like I said, people want headliners, man. If you don't give them headliners, they won't skip out on your movie entirely. They're just going to watch it on streaming.
Well, it's not just they want headliners. They also want events. They want just like we're just hopping from movie to movie, and they're just kind of like they're just kind of isolated from each other, which okay, that was the problem that DC ran into with the bad management was they want they want to feel like this is building to something, it's building to a big event, big culmination. That's why we get to I would go as far as to say the last time I think we really saw that at least in like a traditional apparatus from both DC and Marvel event movies was 21 when we had Zack Snyder's Justice League and Spider-Man No Way Home bookending the year. They're both event movies in their own ways very different but and the circumstances led to them also made very made the event
Well,
movies,
one wasn't even a theatrical release, but that's
exactly. But they were both they were a culminating event in their own ways. They were both these big they were ensembles, they were big events. It felt like this was the payoff for what had preceded them. So that's something that's been lacking, I think, in the CBM scene in the last couple in the years since 21.
All right, Anthony. Okay, but by the time that Black Panther, and people knew who Black Panther was, the name Black Panther was used on his character before the group formed. But when you're talking about by the time Black Panther first hit the big screen, it did so in the infrastructure of a massive machine that was Marvel. And so they didn't really have to be talking about it. See, here's the thing, though. No singular character was holding up the brand at any given time. It was a collection of A-listers that were doing it. Where does Black Panther first appear in the MCU? In a Captain America movie. All right. So we're talking about that's once again a character that a lot of people knew, especially Black folks. We knew who he was. But even then, even if you didn't know him and you just got introduced, you're already putting a character like that within the midst of $1 billion machine. And like I said, you're basically just feeding your audience into that. And once you take those A-listers away, people just stop caring, No, that's you saying some shit like this, Forth. Marvel is not only focused on A-lister divide, but you have to focus on both. Your mid-level guys, nobody gives a fuck about them without the A-listers there. So you have to focus on the A-listers in support of the Bs and the Z-listers. Otherwise, people just don't show up. That's what DC messed up with. DC tried to replace their A-listers with B-listers. When Marvel is on top of its game, the A-listers are the infrastructure that supports the C-listers and vice versa. They are interdependent. Look at Deadpool and Wolverine. I got a great movie, made $1 billion. It became the highest grossing comic book movie off of two characters that had spent the last 10 years being cultivated to that point. That wasn't the first time you saw either of those characters on screen. One of those characters in Wolverine was literally has become a legend in those Fox movies. This is to tell you how revered those Fox movies are. So, and then Deadpool had actually three, if you consider the Christmas. Deadpool had already had three. Oh, hold on, put that back up.
More was this one?
Yeah. Oh, shit. No, it's this way.
Yeah.
So you had two prominent characters that had been built up to. Wolverine's an A-lister. Wolverine is an A-lister on every level that you speak of. Wolverine is an A-lister. So that's how you got that.
Yeah, Aaron was just kind of wanting to go. Okay, so you want to go into because that caused quite a stir when that happened. And the thing is, it caused such a stir, and they got death threats over it. And I just
that's because people didn't want to read the damn story.
Well, not only that, but it's like, why did anybody think that was going to be a permanent thing? It's like nobody. If you read comics long enough, stuff like that is not like going to become the new status quo. But yeah, William, you can probably give the best kind of cliff notes on that.
Not tonight. We will do. Okay, we can do that this Saturday then.
Okay.
Because I actually got the comics at the store.
Okay. Well, I mean, long story short, Aaron, it was. So you might call it, I guess, a bit of a publicity stunt.
All it was this.
Yeah, it was basically like it was a story Marvel did where it's like they introduced this apparent twist that's like, oh, the whole time Steve was working for Hydra, and I mean, to the shock of no one familiar with the comics medium on any significant level, that was not a permanent change, and it wasn't. It really wasn't like it was not a, that was. He was restored to being the like proper Captain America, but Yeah, that was a it was a quick twist that was subsequently retconned.
Yeah, and it was retcon because it was always designed to be retcon. It was never designed to be a long term story. So there you go, right there. There you go. Hell Hydra. I remember that book. Sold like hotcakes.
I remember people just losing their shit over that. Like
I remember coming into the store, they're like, "What is this?" Dude, it's not a garbage story, but it's not. They designed it to be undone. So
yeah. I'm surprised Lou Ferrigno Jr. hasn't been cast in anything Marvel. I always dug actually.
All right, guys. Let's turn the nonsense spigot off. I just maybe because of refer back. I just explained to you it wouldn't matter if they were 10 guys with paper bags on their heads. By the time you got to the MCU, you had already had multi-million dollar movies and all 3 Spider-Man movies. You basically had almost $2 billion total in Spider-Man movies made. You had a crap ton of money with several X-Men movies that all did well. So by the time you saw that logo again, and all throughout that 8-year period, that Marvel logo was front and center. So by the time they gave you something else with that Marvel logo on it, you were going to the movies. That's what brand trust is. Just because you didn't know who they are, and I don't know how the fuck people couldn't know who they are, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. You can't. That helped. That helped Kevin Feige's career. Where do you think Kevin Feige came from? He came from those movies. He helped develop that brand. So it could have been Manny, Mo, Jack, Jim, and Darlene under paper bags and calling themselves an Avenger. People knew who they were more than you guys are giving them credit. But even if they didn't, it's the brand. The brand is your money. You take care of the brand, you take care of your money. DC will figure that out one day. All right. My goodness, you guys. You got to know what bullshit is in order to call it forth. You're just.
I think that's horseshit, actually. But
whatever. You got to actually know what you're talking about in order to call that. It's all right. And that one's a bull, so you know it.
Okay.
Whatever.
So it's bullshit and horseshit. Okay.
Whatever. William Bruce. Welcome back, Rush. I haven't seen anyone. William Bruce created a machine in game. That could change your age. They'll put that. Oh, or they just go back. They'll just go because remember that whole thing was bullshit. He can't do that, and them still the whole time travel that they used in games. We've already gone over this ad nauseum. Was absolute horse. There's no way you could have done that. So it's going to be easier for them to go back, and he's going to have to give up banging Peggy. Sorry. He's going to have to give up whatever grandkids he had because basically he stopped her from having the grandkids that were supposed to exist. Which, by the way, I think it's kind of shady. But no, they'll bring him back. That's easy. That's an easy fix. Your great grandmother watched too. Okay. Your point being. I don't care that what Marvel Studios say they are not done with Kang. I agree with this, and I be honest with you, I don't see any reason to be done with him. I think he's integral. I mean, and they can tell whatever story they want to, but if they're telling the one that they started at, it would be a damn shame for them not to follow up with that. Have some involvement with Avengers Doomsday. You can't just act like and you, like I said, the whole Loki thing and King and Immortus and Ramatut. And the celestial technology, they could bypass it. I hope they don't. One of my uncles had the Black Panther comic. I just didn't remember him as well. What's a generational thing? But listen, I don't know what ethnicity you are, Antonio. I don't want to assume. For us, man, Black Panther was big. He was what was so big about Black Panther, and this made him bigger than the movie. Every stereotype that you would ever try to put on us in any kind of movie, period, or token, that got blown out of the water with the existence of Black Panther. You're talking about an articulate king you had to respect living in a utopian African society. that refuted every stereotype that was out there. And that's one of the reasons why I think Stan Lee created them. When you're growing up into those those kind of characters. My dad knew who that was. I knew who that was. Now, when you're talking about putting them in the MCU, by the time that came out, we were already well into the $1 billion machine with those guys, and you had already earned the trust. Now it's on. That's why I'm happy that a Black Panther movie didn't happen in the 90s, because it would have been some solo standalone thing with no support, and it would have failed. Having it. What's up?
He says he's Black.
Okay. All right, Antonio. So I don't know. Okay, what your age group is. So say if you're in my age group and you're Black, dude, Black Panther was big. Black Panther was big. He was the one we could always point to, because even like Luke Cage and characters like that, the way they would present them in the 70s, the turtleneck and the sideburns and the type of lingo that they'd be using in the comics. And I'm like, all right, dude. All right, that's fine. But, Black Panther was a king. He was a king. They came to him. And you couldn't get it from Reed Richards. You get something built on that. You went to Wakanda to get it. And Black Panther was like, I'd say he's a prince for the most part, but he was big. And you didn't really have majestic characters like that until Storm came along in 75. Storm's another one that broke a lot of stereotypes for characters, not just in comics, but in just pop culture in the eras that they were. Black Panther came out in 1966. Guess what? I don't know how old you are, but we weren't in the best of places relations-wise and representative-wise. So Black Panther was huge.
And by the way, he was not named after the Black Panther Party. He actually
the Black Panther Party came afterwards.
In fact, they had to rename him for a little bit. They had to rename him Black Leopard actually for a while.
Yeah, the costume was stupid too. But when you had Storm and then the way Chris Claremont would use Storm, putting her, so you're in my wheelhouse. You're a Generation Xer. So we didn't have. I knew him big time even before I started collecting comics. I knew who the Black Panther was. Now, did I know who he was because of the group? Maybe, but that didn't stop me from exploring him. So yeah, when you're talking about Black Panther. But I'm just happy that he got released while the MCU was at its height for that particular moment, because more eyes got on him. So,
I agree. Your fly prefers horse shit over bullshit. I don't know. This humor kind of strikes me a little bit more as like Spidey's.
That I don't think Spidey's sleep. This is Fourth, and he's always. The Fourth is always here when the damn fly and what else, the pants and all that. That's him.
Now your pants are going to jump in the chat too.
It means he'll have to switch names. I don't get how anybody can say Marvel's only focusing on A-list character or when you're going to get the Tiger, Daredevil. Yeah, but here's the thing though, and all these characters are coming back in the midst of what's going on. Daredevil is you can consider as an A-list character. Daredevil's up there with A-list character. He hasn't necessarily been treated as much because as a street level character, they weren't telling a street level character starting in 2008. They were telling a ramp up to a very cosmic storyteller. So it wasn't the time for Daredevil to do MCU stuff. Now we have different dimensions of it to where you can tell a street level story on Disney Plus or whatever, and you can have your big bangers go into the cosmic stuff like we're going to have. We're about to have Fantastic Four come out. Now I'm going to laugh at everybody when they're going to make it. Fantastic Four is going to make a lot of money, guys. It's going to make a lot of money.
Oh yes, Aaron, I did see this news. Yeah, there's going to be another Meet the Parents. Yeah, Return of the Little Fockers. Yes.
Oh no, I don't. I know. No, you're not trolling. It's Fourth. Fourth is our resident troll. I know what you. Well, I'm not troll. I just care about the characters. But oh yeah, let me not forget my boy Iceman Firestar, by the way, who was created because they didn't want to put the Human Torch on the cartoon. They did that in the earlier 60s cartoon or 70s cartoon, the Fantastic Four. That's where Herbie the Robot came from. Herbie the Robot, it replaced the Human Torch. Why? Because they were afraid that kids would want to emulate the Human Torch by setting themselves on fire. And you know what? They were right. The kids of our era, and probably before, would have set themselves on fire. Because when you're talking about a comic book, by the time you're reading a comic book, you're a little bit, you're not 6-7 years old. Maybe your average age of starting reading comic books for most people is 12, 13, 14. That was the average age back then. But the people who were watching cartoons were much younger. You're talking about 5, 6, 7-year-olds. The mind is a little bit different at 7 than it is at 12. And when you see, ooh, flame on, there's mommy's cigarette lighter. Or wow, There's some matches over there. And all those things that they would tell us in school, don't play with matches and stop, drop, and roll, all that stuff, that would have gone out the window as soon as we saw Johnny Storm as 6-year-olds flame on. Oh, shit. We'd have been siblings, would have been setting each other on fire. So that's why you got Herbie, and that's why you got Firestar. There was a compromise with Firestar. She wasn't completely covered in flame. That's why. And I couldn't believe that when I heard it, but then I'm like, yeah. It's probably for my safety that we didn't do that. Like, hey, neighbor kid, come here. Flame on. Oh, shit. All right. I'm going to skip all the Williams slide. They actually should they should have done it with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because that duck that you saw at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, that's Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
In that universe he got brought in through with all that intergalactic cosmic shit, that's the kind of story that works with him, or Man-Thing and the Nexus of all realities. That's why I really hope they did do another one of those.
Well, James Gunn, he actually talked recently about there were or are some planned Guardian spinoffs now, and he's like he kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit about whether or not he be. I mean, I think his plate's pretty full now on the DC side, so maybe, but I mean, maybe he'll have a kind of like an executive producer role where he's like, okay, I'm just giving you guys some pointers and notes here, and that's kind of the extent of it. But
yeah, because that Howard the Duck and he's actually in Endgame too. You actually see him. That's yeah, he's that kind of character. I mean, and that's what I was expecting when I drug my dad to the movie. I was expecting the Howard the Duck that I read, because it's a joke of a character, but he's involved in some really serious shit. The stuff that he did with the Man-Thing, when he's talking to them, not talking to Man-Thing about being an outcast and there's nobody, we're all alone, you and me, and then all of us in this Nexus of our and this swamp are freaks that nobody wants. We're cast-offs, and that's what made it cool, because they were always, and like when you watch that special that they did, that was very accurate in the tone that those kind of comics did back in the day. So I really enjoyed it. I hope they change their mind about doing more of those. Crimson Dynamo, I expect to see Crimson Dynamo, because you already have the Red Guardian and Red Guardians there. By the way, what were those characters called? It was a Russian version of the Avengers, the Red Guard. That's where David Harbour's character comes from. Like he was the Russian version of Captain America.
Oh yeah, it was a Red Guardian.
Yeah, Red Guardian. Wicked is 460 million. Where's Gladiator at?
Yeah, that's probably about 400 now, I think.
I know it's Denzel. I didn't realize that's Denzel's highest gross.
It's 369.7 now.
Yeah, see, but I still don't think they spent 210 million. And I know they made a crap ton, because I still see people buying those popcorn.
Oh, have you seen Wonder Meg?
I asked Megan if it fit. Yeah, she said, well, it won't fit on my head. I'm like, how do you know? Did you try? And I'm getting.
We love Wonder Meg, of course. Here, we love Wonder Meg, especially because she, may have, played a role in like a certain filmmaker really retweeting our charity drive last year. Let's leave it at that. Am I allowed to say that?
You could. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a tough one. I would say generationally wise, a younger generation might know Jon Stewart more, because there was no Black Panther cartoon of that frequency. Jon Stewart was basically made popular with a particular generation because of a cartoon. A lot of us comic book nerds knew who he was. He's a character that came from the 70s, but a lot of people did not. Most of the people who were watching cartoons at that point were not buying comics. So that would have been your top.
Yeah, like I said,
so I can agree with that.
It's with Green Lantern fandom. It's like you can. It's kind of unique in that you can sort of demarcate like what sort of generation. Now this might be a little bit harder now because we're further in the 21st century. But like beginning of the 21st century, you could like almost demarcate what generation of Green Lantern fans somebody belonged to, depending on like whether they saw like the prime Green Lantern as either Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart. because it's like the older fans like Hal was their Green Lantern, and then people who grew up with the Justice League animated series, John Stewart was their Green Lantern. So
yeah, but here's the thing, though. The reason why I can't say John Stewart would be more popular on that level is because, once again, more people would see a movie than they would a kid's cartoon. That's just numbers. That's not me banging on cartoons. That's just a fact. Your exposure when it comes to
Wonder, this is her with the
I think that would have fit.
That looks about big enough. You could put that on if you like. If you
I think it would have fit.
Put some elbow grease into it.
And even in the comic books, John Stewart wasn't a big seller, unfortunately. Hal Jordan could barely sell that book. Kyle Rayner is what sold Green Lantern. If you look at it, Kyle Rayner, that book was on its way to being canceled for a third time. Green Lantern was getting ready to get canceled until Kyle Rayner became Green Lantern and saved that book and changed the trajectory of the character. I don't know. That's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, I don't want to dismiss the cartoon, but the volume of people who are to participate in other, more people play video games than watch cartoons. If you look at that, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one because Green Lantern as a character in general. I mean, I would love to see the viewership numbers on some of these because then you can kind of see how many, was it a phenomenon then? Because at the time it was, the demographic for those cartoons weren't the average median that was buying anything, but they grew into an average median that was buying anything. But I don't know how much, because I know as many people who identify Green Lantern with Hal Jordan as they do with John Stewart. It's kind of a half and half split. So be interesting to see how. Will it also be interesting? Now it's going to reach a new zenith because it's going to be on a TV show that everybody's going to watch.
And like William made very clear too on the vodka stream there. It's like that is like if there's one thing on James Gunn's slate, it's like that he is like that's just not negotiable for him to see. It's like it's lanterns. I made the joke. It's like, when it comes to lanterns, William's Beetlejuice because he's like, I'll eat anything you want me. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. Come on down, I'll chew on a dog. Woo!
Because right now I don't really. I mean, I'm all right with Superman. I hate that. I saw the fan renditions of that. Every time I see that costume, I just don't like that costume. I hate that S on him. But anyway,
comment, yeah. Well, it's like. The way I put it is like my shorthand is I just say I describe myself as I'm spoiled on chainmail when it comes to Superman between both Man of Steel and Superman and Lois.
And I hate the trunks.
That texture is like it's for both of them. It's just the texture of doing it as chainmail. It's just so gorgeous. It's like I'm so spoiled on that rendition of
and I hate the Injustice costume and I hate the New 52 costume. So that puts me at odds with all that. Because I think the black culture has forgotten how popular Jon Stewart is, and Ryan Coogler is going to direct that movie. Well, I don't listen when it comes to the black culture. I'm part of that culture, but I don't know how popular Jon Stewart was with the black culture, though. Depending, I mean, be that as we are, we're only 13% of the population anyway. But I don't know. I know. Well, it was always been perceived to me growing up that he was second fiddle. The original was still going to be the one that people referred to as the Green Lantern.
Well, and like when you talk about, I mean, it's kind of like you were saying earlier. It's like Black Panther is like, he's. It's not just that he's black; he's also his entire backstory and his character. It's rooted in his culture. It's rooted in his his African. It's rooted that he's a king of an African nation. That's the most technologically advanced nation on earth. He's and like you said, he cut against stereotypes because he's articulate. Your society
he's growing up in. And here's the one thing: when Black Panther first comes out, Black Panther headlines his own book. He is his own thing. He is not replacing anybody. He's not putting on anyone else's uniform. the thing about John Stewart, like I said, from my point of view and from selling comics since, what we know, since the 90s, is people revered John Stewart, but he was always considered the other guy. Same thing with Guy Gardner. Same thing with even though you had 3,600 Green Lanterns, anybody that wasn't Hal Jordan for a time was just some other Green Lantern. Even when they turned the book over to John Stewart for a little bit, people were always writing in, where's Hal Jordan? Now, even with that, even when they had them all in, the book started to fail. The book was, like I said, the book was 3 issues away from getting canceled until I think it was Ron Mars took over. Ron Mars took over, and they decided to do with the Emerald Twilight storyline, which changed everything. It changed everything in regards to Green Lantern. It kept that book going for another 4 or 5 years, and then it kept Kyle Rayner in the spotlight. It introduced the character into an entire new generation that just wasn't buying it. But I never got the sense that, that John Stewart was at the level of a Black Panther. But you know what? But it's all different point of view. It's all going to be how you saw the characters. So. Mm-hmm. I'm not playing 28. I'm not getting taken down. I don't feel
I've seen this.
And to be honest with you, I can't stand that fucking franchise.
No, my thing though is like, because the original came out in what, 2002?
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's like, man, you guys just should wait 6 years, and then it would have been actually 28 years later.
And I would have cared 6 years less, 4 years less. It came out at a bad time for me in zombie movies, man. Oh my God, they were everywhere. It was like, fuck, everybody was putting out zombie movies. Everybody was putting out this and that. And I'm like, I just stopped going to zombie movies. I'm like, listen, we got to come up with a different genre. And you got to remember, during that time, there were so many zombie movies on so many different levels, and I just stopped watching them. It's like, man, I'm a horror fan, and I was a zombie genre fan. I mean, I think the last movie I saw in the genre in that era that I actually paid to see was Dawn of the Dead. That was Zack Snyder's 2004 movie. Yeah. That's it. Other than that, I was tired of that genre.
We've done a watch party for that, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I thought we have. We've done so many watch parties now. It's like I can't. It's like I'm starting to forget which ones we did.
Oh yeah. That and Jeff Johns with his Green Lantern Day Soul comic. Yeah, great. Like I said, Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern. I didn't like the storytelling in Rebirth, the whole parallel. I thought that was stupid, but overall, it was a cool thing. And Hal Jordan had been away a long time, enough to where and Kyle Rayner had established himself as the Green Lantern to the point where he was the Green Lantern. And bringing Hal Jordan back didn't hurt as much as it would have hurt in 1995 if they would have just said, "Oh, the fan writing campaign is crushing us. We have to bring Hal back." They asked the same question then. Ron Mars asked the question, "Where were you guys the last 3 or 4 years when this book was up for cancellation every single month for 36 months? Where were you guys there grumbling about Hal Jordan? Why weren't you buying the book if it was that important to you?" And he was right. He was right. Nobody started buying that book until Green Lantern number 47. 47, 48, 49, and 50. At the end of Emerald Twilight, the only good thing to come out of the reign of Superman, which is where Coast City got destroyed and Hal Jordan lost his mind because the Guardians would not let him use the Lantern energy to recreate Coast City. And he just snapped. He's like, "I've done everything for you guys. I put aside everything for you guys. I don't have a family because of you guys. Now, look, I don't even have the city. And I asked you for this one thing." And while that was going out, people were sympathetic to Hal Jordan, that he'd given them everything. He'd done, everything that the Guardians asked him. And this one thing he asked him, even though it was crazy, you still felt for the fact that, they were saying no to him when he never said no to them. So he was a sympathetic figure until he started killing lanterns, till he started taking rings and doing some of the stuff. And then slowly he started to turn. And then people were like, "Oh, you're turning Hal heel." And then it was to the point where you weren't going to be able to go forward with Kyle Rayner while people were still, polarized about Hal Jordan. So they killed him off. And then the whole 0 hour thing, which was just, but they kept it that way. They kept it that status quo until Jeff Johns came back and did that what he did. Like I said, say what you want about Jeff Johns, his storytelling, when he had an editor that said, "Okay, that's great, let's go with that," no, don't go with that. He was fine. It's when he got out of control was the problem. Kyle Rayner. Speaking of Jon Stewart, I can't wait to see Aaron Pierre join Jon Stewart. Same with Kyle Chandler. I know who you're talking about, though. Kyle Rayner, yeah. Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern because he came
rated. I find.
Well, he came about at a time where I was in his age group. I was still
22 years old when he started as the Lantern, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he came out when I was 22 years old. Or 20, right in that age group. I was still an artist at the time. That's when I was drawing on a regular basis, so I could relate to him. And a lot of people who were buying Green Lantern at that time could relate to this kid that has been thrown into these circumstances and now had to become something big. And what was so cool about that story is we all knew the history and the lore of the Green Lantern. Now he was a brand new Lantern, but he was the last Green Lantern, and he would remain the only Green Lantern for a very, very long time. And that was really well done how they did that, and they stuck with that. So I was a big fan of that storyline. The Man of Steel suit is the best Superman. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember?
Oh, the man! It's like the Superman of Lois season 4 suit. I mean, man, the suit just got better and better as the show went along, and it just ended on a. I mean, how they wrapped up with the suit they wrapped up with. Man, it's like this is why I say I've been spoiled by chainmail when it comes to live action Superman suits.
Oh, I hope we get I hope we get all absolutes instead of except Guy Gardner and Nort. I don't need to see those two at all. BVS is my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. What am I hating on? I mean, there's several things you can get me on, but what am I hating on? I have reason to hate whatever you're telling me. I'm hating on Azteca. All right. We've been on air for an hour and 14 minutes. You guys got any more questions? Any more Q&A? This is an open Q&A.
I think I had something I wanted to say about Craven a minute ago. Or when we
I'm just upset with that shit, dude. Stop trying to bury these movies. If you don't want to go see it, then don't go see it, and stop trying to make news out of it. Everybody's doing everything. And listen, we're YouTubers, so we understand the click game. But I mean, I'll take as long as I need to do to build my meager following. I'm not gonna stir shit just to get clicks and pick fights with people, just to aiming at fandoms and stuff. I'm like, why? If you're somebody who's not going to go see Craven, then don't go see it. I don't need you on the internet saying that nobody went to go see this movie. This movie is looking like it's going to do this, this, and that. Because once again, unfortunately, we don't think for ourselves in 2024. We let the loudest people think for us. And that's like, dude, you're literally going to take somebody else to have them take you out of your experience, no matter what the movie is. You want to go see Wicked? Go see Wicked. I could tell you that it looks like shit for me. I'm not saying that, but what did I say the other day? The 3 M's. It's your money. It's your moment. It's your memory. You don't need YouTube for that. You don't need Twitter for that. You don't need any of these for that. If you're drawn to a movie, go see it. Don't be looking at that. I mean, like I said, they shouldn't having to drop 8 minutes to. They're not just refuting Madam Web and all that. They're refuting lies. They're refuting outright falsehoods that people aren't interested in a movie. And I've heard people who've seen it who give it a decent rate. I mean, so. I don't know. And I hate this about it because it ruins movie talk. So, it's like, how can you talk about an upcoming movie when like I said, you got a culture of people that just wait in the bushes to jump on it. So stop listening. They're doing it. They're going to do it for Superman. They'll try to do it for Fantastic Four, but just that machine's just going to run them over. So I don't know.
I don't know though. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, I do feel like the die is cast as far as like with the impact that that everything you're talking about may have had already on Craven. I mean, I hate to say that because I'm looking forward to it.
But here's the thing, though, that didn't hurt Venom.
Yeah, well, but also, I mean, now I think we can agree, like, of Sony's, Marvel villain universe. I mean, Venom is he's the A-lister of that.
Yeah, but there's I don't know if you're thinking, if you went to Venom and these other movies were interlaced and released in between all this stuff, because you were able to focus on that character regardless to the other movies that came out. And Venom's trailer sucked. The last two Venom, the Last Dance trailer and Venom, those trailers sucked. Craven's had a good trailer. Had two good trailers. So, like I said, it's going to be weird one day you wake up and people are like using their own brain cells instead of borrowing them from their favorite Twitter head. So,
yeah, that would be wonderful, would not?
Hold on. 3 horror films I'm looking forward to 2023. Wolfman.
Well, I know which one William's looking forward to the most.
Wolfman doesn't look good to me. I don't like the design of the character, and that trailer didn't do anything for me. And I'm a Blumhouse guy. Maybe I got to see more. It's early. Thanksgiving too. I'm there.
God, that's gonna be good. Like the build up to that Williams is he's gonna be like a little kid again. Waiting for that.
You're gonna have to outdo yourself. I don't know you can, Eli. I am not going to 28 Years Later. I'm tired of that franchise. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna make a crap ton of money. It'll make plenty of money without me. I'm zombified out. Man.
Aaron, this is a good point. Alan Scott's regarded Green Lantern. It's a shame. No, this is actually why it's really good. What James Gunn reiterated. His commitment to I'm doing DCU and I'm doing Elseworlds, because Alan Scott would be perfect for an Elseworlds Green Lantern.
Well, he's actually not an Elseworlds.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he's a main line. He's just a golden age. A lot of people when he went, he came out of he's not a big movie. He came out, he announced he was gay in the comic books, and that drove us themselves.
It's because his power, he is, he's the Green Lantern where his the other lanterns, their power is based in in sci-fi. His is based in magic. So
that's tree.
Exactly. So it's like that'd be but yeah, it would be cool to see Alan Scott.
Yeah, the reason why they did that is because when comics weren't selling in the mid to late 40s and early 50s, they when they came back in the Silver Age, they took those same characters. Like the Flash was no longer Jay Garrick Flash, but they just upgraded those characters and updated those characters. That's how you got him, and then you got Hal Jordan, because there was a time in between after World War II where comics sales plunged.
Yeah. Well, and to really like illuminate like how much times have changed, that was back the best-selling character of that era was Shazam.
Yeah, Captain Marvel at the time.
Captain Marvel, yeah, because he was comics were thought back then. Comics were really, really, really not like today we've gotten past that, but back then they were really thought of as children's material. So what's the character that's going to appeal most to kids? It's the kid who becomes a superhero.
Well, that character was, because there were other characters in the 40s that were pretty brutal and violent, but Shazam never was. The Shazam sold enough copies that DC got pissed and sued Fawcett over that. And that's why, because back then the copyright laws were different.
That'd be really cool, like for like a Saturday night, like turning point thing is it's like the breakdown, like the whole like Captain Marvel Shazam name.
We did.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did. We covered Shazam. I think.
Oh shit! Yeah, this is where I say we covered enough things now I forget that we did it.
Yeah, and basically what I would bring them up, and like I said, back in the 40s. DC Comics sued because they said that it was too close to what Superman was. And even though it wasn't, the laws were different back in the 40s. They ended up, you wouldn't see Captain Marvel or Shazam until 1973, when DC completely gave Fawcett the money to buy the character. By that time, the Kree Captain Marvel had already claimed the name. So they called him Captain Marvel in the comic book, but they never had him on the cover as Captain Marvel. He was just called Shazam. To be honest with you, I think the Shazam is the better name too. Anyway, because of the fact that it's where his power comes from. It's literally within the story itself. So I even though you can call him Captain Marvel, even in that thinking Kingdom Come, I've always called him Shazam. So, but yeah, we covered that one. We covered it again though. I still think Blumhouse does a good job. But like I said, that Wolfman, I got to see more of it. I'm not won over yet. Like I said, I'm not playing on here because I don't feel like getting taken off. And two, I just don't care about 28 days later or 28 years later. In fact, if you guys have noticed, as a genre of movie that we haven't touched, except for one time, that's zombies.
Yep.
This is one zombie movie we've done. Night of the Living Dead. Even though people can say Evil Dead's not a zombie movie. People try to put that down. I don't like zombie movies anyway. That early 2000s really, really turned me off for a lot of years when it comes to zombie movies. I don't want to see another one. Just not my thing. I have no. And 28 days later, maybe it was just the wrong time, wrong movie. But by the time that movie came out, I was done with the zombie genre. Because I don't like thinking about that shit. Why don't I like that? No. In fact, let's like that. I take that off the screen. Listen, those people, I'm on and doing the same shit that kills those people in horrific fashion. All right. I do. I watch that. I've seen those movies, and I'm like, I was just doing something with that tool, like today.
Yeah, where it's like you got the torque wrench and the screw comes loose, and then the board flips over, and like the board has like a nail sticking out of it and hits you right in the eye.
I'm cutting wood on my table saw, watching. But no. Those movies freak me out, man.
The bridge collapsed in the last one. That's
the bridge, the roller coaster, the tire. I mean, what the fuck, man? Every manner of death, and they don't even make them into shit that's like, oh, that'll, in most horror movies, oh, that'll never happen to me because I'll never be. Oh, whoa, wait a minute, whoa.
I mean, listen, the fourth one. I mean, that's just about scared me off ever going to a NASCAR race. Oh, the really good. This is so ridiculous, but the fourth one where the guy gets plugged up in the pool, and the pressure just keeps.
Oh fuck! Yeah, stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Well, because
Final Destination is banned.
Well, that's not at all how those things work. If it were, it's like every pool in the country would be shut down.
All those movies freak me out. Just the trailers for those movies. I'm like, I'm not
film
going anywhere near this fucking movie.
Did they film the next one, the one that's coming up? Did they film that before Tony Todd died?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I would look that up because then that'll be a posthumous thing.
Oh, congrats. She might get nominated for an Academy Award for this. I'm happy for Demi Moore. The substance is nasty as fuck. Ugh. For hot chicks being that, you're like, ooh, they're not hot anymore. When you see people start to melt, ugh. But yeah, I see Demi Moore getting nominated for Best Actress. I don't know if she'll win or not, but I see her getting nominated for Best Actress.
I think he just made it very clear why he doesn't like Final Destination.
Yeah, it's banned. It's banned. That might Vince. We might have to ban Final Destination in the chat. I can't take it.
No, I think he is. I'll be there.
Oh no. I've made it through this life. I've been lucky. Let me knock on wood. You're not going to curse me with those movies. Those movies, it's like it's worse than watching a Wile E. Coyote cut. Anything can kill you in those movies. And they make sure it's shit that you look. They make sure it's shit that you see and use every day.
It's everyday stuff. That's there's one where the woman goes in the hairdresser and this guy is running a lawnmower over something like this rock hit that flies out and nails her. And
what the hell, man? I don't use a tanning booth, but that was still not cool to see.
Oh, that one was horrible. Where like the board falls down and like pins both the lid down on them and they can't get out. And
like, man, ugh.
Actually, now that I think about it, since we're not, I mean, it's pretty clear we established we're not doing Final Destination watch marks here, but we got the Spider-Man No Way Home one we're going to be doing this weekend. Do we want? I mean, because again, you've talked about what do we want to do? Any like on the marathons or DC stuff, or what we want to do? Do we want to do like another epic, New Year's Eve run? and what we want to kind of have for that.
We'll
Because you talked
probably
about well, I
just
want to do those for the charity stuff.
we'll probably just go through all the DCU movies. Maybe just go through all that. I know I want to do something on Christmas Eve. So we got Christmas Eve, we got New Year's Eve. Those are both on Tuesdays. So
Yeah. You want to do Violent Night for Christmas Eve?
we could.
Why not? What do you mean? Ugh. You love that as much as you like.
That fucking yeah. We're gonna have to skip that one scene. No, I can't take that scene.
You're talking the ending. You mean?
No, not the ending is kind of cool. That's one of the cooler villains.
The ending is a Mortal Kombat fatality.
But that one where he slips on that ladder and that fucking nail.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I was like I said,
Clint
Clint was there in the movies with me. We were sitting back. I'm reclined, and I found the way to jump up and to the right. I almost jumped out of my fucking seat, and that's hard to do. That is hard to do. It's hard to get me to jump at anything. You've done something when you get me to go like that. And that when they did that, I was like, "Oh, I don't need that."
And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I think they kind of did that with with The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. I mean, the manner of speaking.
Oh yeah, this one was and I think that James Byrd got, and I think that was homage to that. I think this was due to James Byrd. This is a real life thing. James Byrd got dragged by a racist, and his head came out, all kinds of stuff. Those guys went to the death penalty in Texas.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that part, and it's the without going to spoilers and without using the terminology. It's after like the big disaster happens at their racetrack, and this one guy, I guess, like blames the security guard for his wife's death, and the security guard is black. And he walks up to him and says, like, the security guard is talking like one of the other main characters, and he walks up and he says, like, he says something to the effect of, like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were talking to a." There you go, and and the dude just like he's totally stoic. He just like he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you. You're not pushing my buttons, man. And it's I mean, it was one of those moments where it's like, because of the way it's handled, it's like everybody just, I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the theater, right, with the way it's handled, but the character just like, he's like, nope, I'm stonewalling that, man. I see you're trying to do, so
that is where we are gonna wrap it up, guys. What is tomorrow Creature Commandos, or is that Thursday night?
Yeah, so it's now it's one episode a week through, I think, January 6th.
When is it? Is it tomorrow? Hold on.
Actually, yeah, because tomorrow's Wednesday, but then it's like
but
at what point of Thursday? Thursday or is it Friday? It's Thursday, so it'll be like midnight Pacific Thursday.
No, it'd be midnight Pacific Thursday. Okay. You tell us every Thursday. So so tomorrow night is Creature Commandos night, guys. Midnight. We'll be here. You guys seem to love those. I love watching it.
That's fun. That's movie.
Aaron, I don't care. I don't care. Doesn't care whether I don't care if it's a futuristic. Actually, it would be better if it were futuristic because
then it'll have sci-fi stuff that's not real.
It doesn't exist. Instead of like fucking,
it was like people dying with like laser guns and like
instead of my power drill turning on me and no, don't ask no more, guys.
There's a good one where the one guy goes like the acupuncture clinic and like the bust of Buddha falls on him like after he, I'm gonna have to get like a reversible candle now to undo this show, because we're not gonna do that shit. So, all right, guys, tomorrow night, midnight Pacific time, which is 3 a.m. Eastern time. I will probably jump on the air at around 11:30ish or so, just to talk about, just to shoot the shit with you guys, so that we're not just doing a hard start. And what I will do, because I obviously we don't have HBO Max in certain continents, I will be airing that on our Twitch stream. So if you don't have HBO Max, then you can still watch along with us. Tune in, guys. It'll be very dry.
That's bullshit.
The letters T, R, and A are in Creature Commandos. So there you go.
And like 80% of all
it's an anagram for
it's
Tra.
not.
James
Creature
Gunn
Commandos
watches the show.
No,
clearly.
Creature Commandos is 2 words that are spelt right. Where can they find you, back, since you do a horrible job of advertising that you're a journalist on your?
You guys can find me. As far as social media, you can find me here in the Sci-Fi Center. Obviously, you can find social media wise. You can find me on all the big ones. On Facebook, Twitter. I'm using my Instagram a lot more now, on Vero as well, and now I'm on Blue Sky. You can find my work, my written work on such outlets as Kung Fu Kingdom, Fortress of Solitude, and now recently I've also begun contributing to comicbook.com. So
There
you
you
find
go.
my work there. Of course, there's all my archive also from all my work that from my time at Screen Rant. So guys, check out all my good stuff there. And unfortunately, I have not found a way to work try into the word try into any of my my journalistic work yet. But
Anyway, he's a bonehead, but he's our journalistic bonehead. So, and he needs to start putting that in his name. Badcomicbook.com. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow midnight. Bye.
better.